Welcome to Walking Out Your Purpose with yours truly, Alicia Smith, where we focus on you reaching your full potential in all areas of your life through intentional dialogue and putting in the work. Let's get motivated to action so that we draw closer to realizing our life's purpose as women of God, wives, mothers, and businesswomen. Now come on in and eavesdrop on a conversation with me and today a special guest as we discuss having faith over fear from the pew to the boardroom and everywhere in between. I'm glad you're here. Let's get to walking out our purpose and accomplishing all that God has for us. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm today to get started. All right, welcome to the show, everyone. I am so elated today to have not only one of my friends, but a sister in Christ, Mrs. Elaina McCann-Brinson, on the show. Most of you know her as ESO Inspired, and I am just so happy to have her as my special guest. Welcome, Elaina.
Hello. Great. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So tell everyone who you are and what you're all about.
Ooh, let's see how I can say that, give my elevator speech. Well, okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Elaina McCann-Brinson. I go by ESO Inspired. First and foremost, who am I? I am God's girl. I'm God's girl first and foremost. That's my guy. He's with me. He protects me. He advances me. He promotes me. And he just created this individual who I am. I'm also a wife, been a wife for almost 14 years. I'm a mom. I have 2 children, a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old. By profession, I'm an occupational therapist and certified health coach. I specialize in physical disabilities and mental illness, or mental health rather. And I'm just an individual that just embodies the passion to empower people, to energize folks. And that's by all means necessary.
I love it. That's awesome. And you are always so full of energy and so positive. And so I definitely wanted to make sure that we had you on the show so that you can inspire and encourage and uplift others, because that's what we do over here at Walking Out Your Purpose podcast. So since we're all about purpose, why don't you tell us what your purpose is and how and when did you discover it?
Well, I'll answer what my purpose is first. My purpose for being here on earth is to empower and energize individuals, to inspire and influence, to uplift and encourage and educate people, to help them to live life to its fullest by all means necessary. Now, how and when did I identify my purpose? Well, I must say that it became more and more apparent around 2004, where I was on a cruise. Okay, I became a Christian in 2002. 2001, after I moved back to South Florida. And I was serving in church and everything, just being myself, always jumping in to help people, teach classes or what have you. But I remember I was on a cruise in 2004, and on this particular day, I bumped into 3 artists. And I remember I was standing there looking at a painting, and one of this artist, his name is Leroy Williams. He said, you have the gift of vision. He said, you have the gift of vision. No one doesn't just sit there and come up with things and think about things. And I just thought that whatever the things that I do, I just thought that's just what I do. I never attached the word purpose to it. And then my purpose started becoming more apparent, just at church, with serving, with teaching ladies devotion classes way back in the days. And even when I used to produce plays and just getting the feedback, and things used to just come to me so easy. So over time, it just became, more apparent.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. And I have experienced, your purpose. And what I love about it is your purpose. And I think this is a question that I have later, but your purpose shows up in so many areas of your life, right? I've seen it in business, because we've been in business together before. I've seen it at church, and just your walk. And I'm so inspired by you. I think you're amazing. And I love that you had that encounter and that you allowed it to, really resonate within you and keep pushing, right? Keep pushing forward. And the beautiful thing about purpose, we know we're in it when it just comes so natural. We're not really trying. It's just innate. It's because it's God's gift to us, and it's what he wants us to deliver while we're here, right? So I think that's beautiful that you know what it is. A lot of people are searching for what it is that they're built for, but it's in all those those things that come innate to us, those things that we don't have to overthink, right? Comes natural. So
right now,
I love it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so grateful for that, because I know, I'm in my 40s, and I know at this age, or even a little bit younger, you have some people like, what am I here for? What is my purpose? Right. What am I good at? And let me tell you, even though God has blessed me with the ability to become aware of my purpose, as well as to experience the manifestation of it, even still, sometimes I still ask God, okay, I know you showed me before, but can you show me again, please? Sometimes you forget, like, okay, God, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Like, for real. And I know you showed it to me before. Can you please show me again?
Yeah. And I think, sometimes, I always tell people, and this is in one of the previous episodes where I talk about who's in your corner, right? Because I think it's imperative that we have the right circle of people around us that can continue to remind us, right? Yes. Of what we're great at, not just good at, but what we're great at, what we're excellent at, so that we can keep moving forward and blessing others. Because our gift is really for other people. It's
Definitely.
to bless other people and to give back. So I love it. It's so exciting.
Thank you. And you know what, Alicia?
Go
ahead.
Yeah.
I just want to add, like, when I'm in my deep zone of gratitude and giving thanks, one thing that I constantly thank God for is for all the way that he continued to replenish my path, for all the people that he's put in my path to help scoop me along, to help pour into me, edify me, remind me, and tap me on my shoulder. So, where I'm at today is from a lot of gratitude. Like I say, gratitude is the secret sauce. Like, just keep taking it. It's the secret sauce, man. It's the strategy. So, yes.
That's awesome. So we touched on it a little bit, but maybe you can share with the audience how you intentionally walk out your purpose daily. Like, what is it that you do? So gratitude is one of them, probably affirmations, but what are other things that you do daily to walk out your purpose?
Daily. Listen, we all striving for that daily for that 100% consistency. But I must say, in all honesty, what I do daily, one, soon as I wake up, I have a ritual, and it's a rule too. Before you reach for your phone, before you check an email, see if you missed a text, you give thanks. And I just sit there, and let me tell you, I have to keep thanking God and praying until I know that my mind is clear, until I know that I'm not even thinking about what I'm supposed to be doing during the day, or any, weight that may be on my shoulder. So I sit there, seriously, and I pray and I thank God until my mind is clear. And then after I do that, I either reach for one of my self-help books, because I love personal development books. I either reach for a book and read for like 10 minutes. I may Google a daily devotion. It might be something on my mind. It might be whatever is on my mind for the day. I may Google a devotion on that, or I might just go to YouTube and listen to some of my favorites. So wake up, pray, meditate, make sure I listen to some personal development to put something in my ears. And then the next thing that I strive to do, I call it move on my day before the day moves on me. So it's a thing that I started. Uh-oh. Hello?
I'm here.
There's a thing that I started at the beginning of this pandemic, and it's called my morning mile. Now, the morning mile is not specifically just for physical activity. I'm checking physical activity off, but it's a way for me to move, to reflect. During that time, I might be listening to my personal development, but it's just move on my day before all of the demands of work and children come on me. So those are like the main three things. I do speak affirmations and I write things down, but those are the main three things that I do. I strive to do daily.
Awesome. I love it. And one of my favorite words, and actually my word for the year, I said a word every year, and I started doing that a couple years ago, but my word for the year was intentional.
Yes.
And as a result of being intentional, right? And I think it starts with daily habits. Yes. I think there's a lot of books that talk about that, right? The way to success is daily habits. And one of the things that I admire about what you just said is just the intentionality, right? We have to be intentional in making sure that we're getting what we want, right? And what we desire, of course, all within God's will, but the things that we desire in this earth and the things that we want to accomplish, we got to be intentional, right? And we got to put the work in. So I love that. All right. So how important is it that people use their gifts, not only to benefit, because most of us think about the workplace, but how do we use our gifts outside of the workplace, right? In church or community or other places? How important is that?
I'm sorry, Alicia, you went out for one hot second. Can you repeat your question, please?
Sure. How important is it that people use their gifts, not only to benefit the workplace, but the church, their community, their families?
It's very important. Once you become aware of your gifts, if you don't use them, like it's a thing of that you don't know what your gifts are. That's one thing. But once it has become apparent what your gifts are and you don't attend to it, feed it, nurture it, it's going to always have this feeling of you're not being fulfilled. And it's not just, I'm gifted in singing, I want to be a singer, or I'm gifted in bringing good energy. It's like whatever your gift is, bring it, because you're not going to be happy. you're going to be miserable. You can show up with a big old smile, but in your own private time, it's a feeling of not achieving. It's like you're not fulfilled. That's my feeling. I don't feel fulfilled when I'm not loving on my gifts. Now I have multiple ones, but and you know what we have to do? We have to strive to just use it. So like one of my gifts, and everyone knows I'm energetic, right? But that's not a word that I use to describe myself. But it's become a recurring theme when I get feedback from women in my different organizations, like, oh my God, I love your energy. And even at my job, we've been doing Zoom meetings with people I've never met before. And it's like, oh my God, I love your energy. So I had to say, Elaina, you are energy. You bring energy. Yeah. You give energy. You change the energy. So like, embrace that. Like, so that teaches me, like, you know how sometimes you're like in a class, like say even like a ladies devotion class, or you at work and you have an idea. But sometimes you get the butterflies in your stomach when you know, when you're supposed to speak up and you have something to share, but you're like, no, I'm just be chill. No, when those feelings that you get turning in your stomach is the Holy Spirit saying, listen, I gave you a mind. I give you this inspiration. Please use it. So when we don't use it, we know. So it's important. And when you don't, it's important. It's like the Bible says, a man's gift or a woman's gift will make room for them. It surely would. You'll get all sorts of favors if you just be who God created you to be. Man, for real.
I love that. And I think, for me, one of the things that we always highlight on this show is, leveraging our purpose, our gifts, our calling, which can be different things at times, but to leverage that in all areas of our life, right? God has called us to be who we are wherever we are, right? And, that's one of the things that I think is important. That's why I wanted to ask that question, because especially as both of us are career women, we're in the workforce and we are leaders and, we're givers and all that stuff. but it's so important to let that trickle into other parts of our life as well, right? We should be, energetic for you. Energy for you should be at home, right? With your children, with your husband, at church, right? With the initiative that you're doing there. Like, Elaina should be Elaina everywhere, right? And I love that, that we had a chance to talk about that. So I want to know, because since you talked about energy, which I totally agree with, and you totally should embrace it, because there are so many people that drain you. And so to have someone that sparks that joy, sparks that energy, that is a true gift. Right. So definitely.
And I do that for myself, because trust me, it's hard behind the scenes. But that's the part that baffles me. Like, I know my struggles and my challenges that I have behind the scenes, but no matter what, even when I'm not trying, someone is reflecting, like, Elaina, oh my God, you're so positive and you're so energetic. Oh my God, I bet you wake up in the morning doing cartwheels. And I'm like, man, listen, do you understand the work? You understand, like, the work that goes into that? Because listen, I struggle, and I think it's because I have certain challenges. I know that it's so important for me to kind of like just do the work to kind of keep myself up and be what God has called me to be ultimately.
Right. Absolutely. So speaking of that, how do you stay inspired, right? And especially in this current environment where we're in a pandemic, we have social injustice, we've got unrest, we've got, of course, everything happening politically. It's just 2020 is quite a year. So how do you stay inspired? How do you stay inspired to just keep going?
Ooh, that's a good question. No, I really have to tell you this, Alicia. One of the things that keeps me inspired, and you're going to hear me saying this often, is just gratitude. Like, when I'm feeling like, I feel like I'm at a midlife crisis. Oh, I should have been here. Oh, I should have had that. I should have this much. I should be this size. I should be able to manage these people better. Let me tell you something. The thing that inspires me after I get all that out the way, and that may take up a half a day of energy, that may take up 2 weeks of energy, that funk. But what inspires me is just gratitude. I'm talking about getting down to the nitty-gritty of saying, thank you for my life. Thank you for the people that you placed in my life. Thank you for allowing me to finish school. Thank you for allowing me to get a degree. Thank you for giving me a career that's been able to fund my lifestyle. Thank you for all the opportunities that you've placed in my path. Thank you for allowing me to experience success. Thank you for bouncing me back. Like, thank you for my health. You understand? Like, that gratitude inspires. So that's one way that I stay inspired. Another way that I stay inspired, I read books. I'm a book junkie. I got 2 books in front of me right now. The Warrior of the Light by Paul Coelho. I read Les Brown, you gotta be hungry, the greatness within you. That's another way that I feed So Inspired. That's Elaina So Inspired. I feed myself through gratitude. I feed myself through listening to the word, different people. I listen to all sorts of evangelists, ministers, people that have a good word. That's another way that I keep myself inspired. Reading books. And then also, I want to say, staying in alignment or connecting with like-minded people in the spirit. Not just having one balance of friends that only do this. Like, I have to have some positive energy around me. That inspires me. And reflecting. Yeah, it's nothing like gratitude. Gratitude and reflection will get you inspired real quick. Real quick.
That's awesome. And, I've been in this, I'm glad you shared that. I've been in this, I would say, I guess mood or mode, whichever word, to really read. I would say, I will admit I am not an avid reader. My husband is, and I'm so jealous because he reads a lot, and like you said, reads different things to keep him encouraged. But I've been reading a lot more lately, especially in light of having this podcast, and it is definitely re-energizing. It enlightens your mind to just other ways of thinking about things, and allows you to dive deeper into your areas that you're passionate about. And that for you, like you said, is inspiration. So you have to be inspired to inspire.
You really, really do. It's like you have to. It's like I don't know who this quote comes from, but it says, motivation is like a shower. You need to do it every day because it wears off. It's like a bath.
Wow.
So yeah. So
that's good.
I try to do something because our tanks can run empty so fast, and I'm talking about so many things can drain our tank, and we can even drain our own tank with thinking that's not productive. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
That's how I keep myself inspired.
All right. Awesome. So shifting gears real quick, because this is something that I know you do well, and certainly you talked about it in your intro, but wellness, right? I definitely see you someone is caring about your own wellness, but also others as it relates to really mind, body, and soul. So maybe where did that passion come from? And why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do in the wellness space as well?
Okay, so first, what I do in the wellness space, one, I am an occupational therapist. I've been practicing in Florida and California over 20 years. My background has been, I've serviced all ages from children at preschool age all the way up to 105. And basically, as an occupational therapist, we want to help people to be as independent as they can and have a quality of life despite any injury, illness, or loss. So we basically are the ones that help people to develop the skills for living. Either they have to build up their strength so that they can be able to dress themselves, feed themselves, all the way down to being able to write, wash dishes, hold a baby, with children, being able to play and interact. Also in the mental health realm, I have a strong background in mental health, where I worked, with patients that were either suicidal, depression, paranoia, anxiety, addiction. So in that realm, my purpose is to help them to develop effective coping skills, self-awareness, problem solving, help them to become compliant with their medication regimen, help them to develop leisure activities so they can find fulfillment. So that's occupational therapy in a nutshell. I'm also a certified health coach, and it's basically, I do that to the purpose of health coaching. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not teaching people exercises, even though I can, because I'm a therapist. I have a strong background in, neuroanatomy, biokinesiology, all of that. But as far as a health coach, it's about molding people to modify their behaviors for optimal wellness. And then that spun off into, I also distribute health and wellness products that people can add to their lifestyle of physical activity, mindful nutrition, and then if they need supplements to help them to either energize, provide nutrition for themselves. So it's all in the gamut. So Eat So Inspired, this brings it back to who I am. Like, even as an occupational therapist, everything that I do is like occupational therapy, helping people to have quality of life by all means necessary. That's it. And that's the brand of Eat So Inspired. Living Gracefully is my company. I've had it since 2004. But how did I get into wellness? I think this passion started to cultivate from my childhood. I'm sorry, I'm just anxious right now. I don't know if my sentences are incorrect grammar.
You're fine, girl. Be free.
I told you I was jumping on the trampoline prior to this. But it started to cultivate as a young child. My aunts in Philadelphia, they were always healthy eaters. Back in the days, it was tofu, brown rice, soy milk, everything was baked. Okay. And then going into high school, I was a cheerleader and I ran track, so I was physically active. And then I stepped into a career of health and wellness. So let me tell you something that really drove my passion home. When I started working in the hospital, and I see that a large majority of the problems that people have are things that they can control. About 80% of it, either from obesity, alcoholism, hypertension, the strokes, that's behavior. and then so many years of bad behavior, or I don't want to call no one's behavior bad, because you know what? Some folks are just living and that's all that they know. So excuse me, scratch that. I want to call it bad behavior. It could be bad behavior. I'm so nice, right? But it could just be so many years of doing harmful things to our body. So that's why I'm like, I'm not paranoid about wellness, but it's like, I see the flip side of it. From working in the hospital and in rehab, I see the flip side of what happens when people don't take care of their bodies. So that's why I'm very passionate about encouraging people to control the things that you can control. Okay? And then let God do the rest. Let God do the rest, but control your controllables. So that's why I'm really passionate about helping people, because I see what's on the other side. And I see what's on the other side of not taking care of yourself physically. And I also see what's on the other side of not taking care of yourself mentally. So Alicia, that's where all my messages come from. Because I want to be on the front end of wellness instead of the back end.
I love that. And actually talking about the controllables, because I definitely agree with that concept. And want more people to embrace that. And so obviously there have been a lot of uncontrollables in 2020, but as we think about what we can control within ourselves, maybe what are some things that you had listed as 2020 aspirations or goals, and did you accomplish any of those things in spite of the crazy 2020 that we've been having? And if you did, I mean, did you face any challenges with that? How did you overcome?
I'm glad you asked that question. So if I had to put a percentage on the goals for this year, I probably achieved 70% of what I set out to achieve. Okay. And I'll start with, one of my goals was, and I'll be very transparent with you, one of my goals is that I wanted a 700 credit score across the board with all 3 bureaus by February 14, 2020. I wrote that down in December. That was a vision that I wrote down. And guess what? You write it down. I got 700 and above in 2 areas. That was done. Okay.
Nice.
The second thing that I had on my agenda for this year was that I wanted to purchase a home. And guess what?
Yeah.
Hey. Yeah. That was like a 7-week process. God bless me. See that credit score first? Boom. Hey. House. I even wrote down a percentage that I wanted my interest rate to be at. I wrote down that I wanted unprecedented favor with my closing. Okay, bold. Wrote it down. All right. So those are the main 2 goals. One, it was increase that credit score. Okay, so that increases the buying power, and then to be able to purchase a home. Okay. Now there's 2 other goals. One, it's not too much of a big deal, because I'm always working on wellness. I still been wanting to lose 30 pounds, but guess what? I'm growing. I'm getting older. God might not want me to be 30 pounds less. He said it right where you are, okay? I had started like a 30-pound, 30 Gotta Go movement with a group of girls, and guess what? I probably got down like 12, but enjoying and embracing the process. So that goes like, that's probably not even a goal God want me to have. He probably don't want me to be where I think I ought to be. All right. And then there was another goal that I had on my agenda to be accomplished by June 10th, 2020, which was to open an assisted living facility. So at the end of 2020, December 2020, I was able to check off a portion of a goal that I had on the back burner for 20 years, which was to, so in December 2020, I got my certification to be a licensed assisted living facility owner. So I passed that, I got my results December 26th. So the other goal that I had this year was to open up an assisted living facility, Living Gracefully, on June 10th. By June 10th. June 10th is my grandmother's birthday, and that's my greatest inspiration. And she also owned ALF for like 20 years or so in Philadelphia. So that was like how I got into the healthcare field. So that was one goal that was not achieved, but we just moved it back a little bit. I think God, He just wanted me to, focus on getting this house, and then now I can start focusing on that next goal. And then with COVID and with all these ALFs with patients it just was a mess. It was a mess. So,
yeah.
Exactly.
All in God's timing. It's gonna come. It's gonna come, and it's gonna come at the right time. And it's gonna be amazing.
That's the main goal. Yeah, that's what we celebrate. We celebrate everything, and I think that's why people sometimes are miserable or don't think they are farther.
Yeah.
When people think they're not where they're supposed to be, because they're not celebrating. They're not like just being grateful. Like, yes, be grateful. Okay, nobody didn't say be content, but be grateful. Like, you did some big stuff. Okay, and our time is not God's time. It really is not.
Yeah. Absolutely. And who knows where you would have been.
Exactly. There's been so many restrictions. So, exactly.
And your children, right? Children being home, virtual school, right?
It's
been.
So this was a stack your chips, save your coins, and we'll be ready. So I have my realtor on standby to look for a property, and when it comes up, we'll move on to the next thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, we're going to start to wrap up, and I think this has been amazing. I know that everyone has been blessed by the dialogue and the conversation. I know I'm inspired. And so, one of the things that I tell people is that, of course, it's been in any year, right? It may not be as drastic, right, as 2020, but every year, right, something happens, right, where it's not what we planned, or it's it's not going as expected, or I didn't get something accomplished, right? But we hopefully can always find the silver lining, right? And so even in this pandemic, and you talked a little bit about it actually with your last answer, but we'll just wrap up with this. How has this season blessed you? Maybe what lessons have you learned, or what's something new that you've tried that you would have never tried before? How has 2020 blessed you?
How has 2020 blessed me?
Because we're gonna leave out.
Yes. How did 2020 bless me? Well, let me tell you. I think one of the things that is done for me is to just help to feed a message that I like to give people, which is give yourself some grace. Okay, so 2020 says give yourself some grace, because guess what? With having to be home, take care of kids at home with school, wearing a mask, it was a lot at the beginning, right? But we had to realize this is our first time experiencing anything like this. And what happens when something happens for the first time? You give it some grace. Like, be easy on yourself. Okay? Embrace the moment, embrace the time, and give yourself some grace. So 2020 has given me some time to reflect, seriously, because listen, we were at home. Where were we going? You're in the house.
Right.
It helped me to just really pay attention to my children and my husband. And that's how it's blessed us too. It brought us closer to the center, because, you can't be out as much. 2020's blessed me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And it's also just helped me to just realize, hey, we just have to shift with the shift. So it really just fueled my mindset. Because even though many of us are at home, even like with one of my businesses, even though we are at home, I can't go out, because everybody now is at home and they're on their phones. Business has increased. So it kind of reminded me, like, hey, stay on the path that you're on. Yeah. So that's how it's blessed me. Give yourself some grace and know that you are good enough. You're worthy enough. You want something, you ask God for it, and He's going to give it to you. Okay? So that's how it blessed me. It blessed my mindset. It helped me to be like, just be cool. It's okay. Fine. You didn't lose 30 pounds, but guess what? You're healthy. I had a mass. They found a 1 centimeter mass in my left boob, April 2020. Okay. 24 hours. The next day, I did my diagnostic. Boom. It's benign. Nothing. Come back in December. Went back December 2019. Ma'am, it's clear. Boom. Come back in 6 months. Went back June of this year. It's still benign. We don't have to do nothing. Right?
We don't have to see you until next
Hallelujah.
year.
Thank you, God.
It helped me to realize, hey, you might not be the size that you want, but you are healthy and you are well. And God give us a lot of time with ourselves to just Either you're going to choose A, roll around in your blessings and all that he's done for you, or roll around in misery. So give yourself some grace. That's what I want to leave your audience with today. Give yourself some grace and stay in gratitude. That's it.
Y'all, the mic has been dropped. There's nothing else I need to say. I love that. And thank you so much, Mrs. Elaina McCann-Brinson, for gracing our virtual stage here today. And just sharing who you are. You're a blessing. I thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. And
I'm proud of you.
So grateful to God.
I'm proud of you and you, Endeavor. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for seeing a vision through. Thank you. I'm proud of you for executing and producing. I'm proud of you for not just letting an idea sit in your head and you wondering when. No, you stepped out and you did that. And we need more of us to just execute and produce and let folks know, how did you do that there? So give yourself some grace. I appreciate you.
Right.
Thank you.
Awesome. All righty. Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good night.
Well, everyone, I hope you took some good notes and have at least one action you will take to prepare your life forward in pursuing your purpose. Let's get it. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Now go conquer your day and don't let it conquer you. Until next time, peace and blessings.